Most men attempt to win female attention through material offerings, physical appearance, or superficial charisma, and this is precisely why they vanish from memory. But Machiavelli perceived something deeper. He recognized something darker, something the majority of men never comprehend. The objective is not to be appreciated. It is to be impossible to forget, not through pleasing her, but through commanding what she experiences in your absence. In this examination, you will learn 9 dark psychological frameworks inspired by Machiavelli, designed to trigger fixation without uttering a single word of flattery. No pursuit, no performance, no pleading for affection. You will learn how to become the man she cannot explain, but also cannot stop analyzing. Observe closely, because once you understand how this mechanism operates, you will never participate in the game like an ordinary man again. The supremacy of apprehension over affection. There exists a statement by Machiavelli that most men dismiss, not because it lacks truth, but because it creates discomfort. It is far safer to be feared than loved. Initially, this sounds merciless, like something only a corrupted individual would embrace. But examine closely, not at what people claim, but at what they actually do. Observe how women behave around different categories of men, and suddenly that sentence crystallizes into clarity. Love can feel warm, soft, kind. It is the emotion we all hunger for, but also the one we most easily take for granted. When love is always present, always giving, always soft, it loses its mass. It becomes ambient sound. Safe, yes, but also forgettable. And here is where most men collapse. They think love is sufficient. They believe that if they give more, show more, open up more, she will value it. But what occurs? She stops experiencing it. Because what is freely distributed, without challenge, holds no authority. Now introduce apprehension, not the variety that harms, not yelling, not domination, not violence. That is weakness masquerading as strength, and women can detect it. Real apprehension is when a man has boundaries so firm, she experiences them without him uttering a word. He does not need to elevate his voice. He does not need to argue. He does not need to explain his worth. He simply moves away. And the silence teaches her what words never could. This man does not pursue. He does not explain why he was hurt. He does not beg for her to remain. He simply lets her experience the absence. And that absence impacts harder than any emotional outburst. Because the moment she realizes he is serious, the dynamic changes. She knows he will not break his own rules just to keep her. She knows that if she disrespects him, she loses him. And that is when attraction becomes fixation. Not because he gave her more, but because he was willing to give nothing when his values were violated. That is apprehension. Not the fear of a man, but the fear of losing a man she cannot control. And here is the psychological secret. Most women are not fixated on being loved. They are fixated on the man who does not need their love to feel complete. That is why women pursue the man who walks away. That is why they respect the one who does not fold. That is why they keep thinking about the man who never begged. He was not mean. He was not cruel. He was just unshakable. He had something 99% of men lack, standards that were not for sale. So when Machiavelli said, "It is safer to be feared than loved," he was not rejecting love. He was teaching you that respect must come first, that without fear of loss, love becomes lazy, and that the deepest desire comes not from what you give, but from what you are willing to withdraw if she does not value it. So remember this. She may love you. She may enjoy your company. But if she does not fear losing you, you are replaceable. But if she knows deep down that you will not stay where you are not respected, you will never have to ask for her attention again. because she will be the one fighting to earn yours. That is not cruelty. That is psychological gravity. That is dark attraction. And that is the power of apprehension over affection. Master the presentation. Machiavelli once said something brutally simple and terrifyingly accurate. It is not necessary to be virtuous. It is necessary to appear virtuous. This one sentence breaks the spell most men live under, because from childhood we are trained in a lie. If you are kind, loyal, hard-working, and honest, people will respect you. Women will desire you. The world will reward you. But it will not. Because the world does not see your truth, it sees your presentation. You can be loyal. You can be intelligent. You can have deep values and noble intent. But if you show up with weak posture, uncertain tone, anxious energy, no one will feel your worth, especially not a woman. Because female attraction does not begin with facts. It begins with perception. Not what are you, but what do I feel when I am around you. She is not analyzing your logic. She is scanning your energy, how you walk, how you speak, how you react when tested. And that is where presentation becomes power. This is not about lying. This is not about pretending to be someone you are not. It is about framing. Because humans do not respond to truth. They respond to what feels true. And if you do not control how you are seen, someone else, her emotions, her biases, her past, will define you for her. So what does this mean in action? When you feel unsure, stand like a man who is certain. When you feel anger, speak like a man who controls fire. When you want to pursue her, do nothing. Let her come toward you. Because in stillness is power. In mystery is attraction. Let her see 80% of who you are. Leave the rest behind your eyes. Let her imagination fill in the gaps. And what she creates in her mind will often be far more powerful than anything you say. Because mystery is magnetic. And humans do not pursue what they fully understand. They pursue what they cannot quite grasp. This is how fixation begins. Not with oversharing, but with silence. Not with convincing, but with presence. So stop explaining yourself. Stop trying to be understood. Start shaping your presentation. Because in a world ruled by perception, presentation is not just everything. It is the game. Be the lion and the fox. Every woman will test you, not to hurt you, but to see if you break. She will shift her tone. She will pull away. She will go cold, then warm, then cold again. She will say one thing and do another. And all of it is to see one thing. Do you collapse or do you hold? Most men do not even know they are being tested. They think she is confused or emotional. So they explain, they apologize, they try to fix things with words, and just like that, they lose the game. But Machiavelli, centuries ago, gave the blueprint. A powerful man must be both a lion and a fox. The lion is power. He does not pursue. He does not explain. He creates boundaries with his silence. He commands the room without raising his voice. The fox is intelligence. He does not react to bait. He does not reveal his hand. He listens and strikes when the moment is clean. And here is the trap most men fall into. If you are only the lion, strong, direct, forceful, she will find a way to provoke you. And when you explode, she sees you as unstable. Your power becomes noise. If you are only the fox, clever, calm, calculating, she will feel your charm, but not your spine. And without that fire, she will not trust you to lead. But if you are both, if she sees strength in your stillness and calculation in your silence, she will not know how to predict you. And that uncertainty, that tension, that is what hooks her deeper than words ever could. So how do you embody both? When she is emotional, be the fox. Watch. Do not react. Let her test crash against your calm. When she crosses a line, be the lion. Not with anger, not with threats, but with presence. A stillness that says, "This is my boundary, and I will not move." That is the man she respects. Not because you yell, but because you do not flinch. Not because you explain, but because you do not need to. She will not understand how to play you, because you do not play. You watch. You wait. You act when it matters. That is power. Not noise, not charm, but the fusion of strength and silence. The lion protects your respect. The fox protects your mind. And together, they make you unforgettable. Fracture her certainty. Machiavelli's oldest law of power was simple: divide and conquer. But this is not just for empires. It works quietly inside the human mind. You do not control a woman by force. You do not fight her beliefs head-on. You seed doubt and let her do the rest. Because when a woman feels certain, she is in control. She knows what she wants. She feels grounded, safe. Your goal? Not to destroy her beliefs, but to make her question them. Just one small, unexpected shift. Not an argument, a suggestion. She says, "I hate jealous men." You smile, calm, playful. That is what you think. Now that one sentence creates a crack. Small, harmless, but deep. Now her mind starts spinning. What did he mean? Do I really believe that? Why did that stay in my head? That is how division begins. Not between you and her, but inside her. When part of her still agrees with herself, but another part starts to wonder, she loses control of the narrative. And you are the one who planted it. This is not about control through pressure. It is control through psychological tension. Most men avoid this. They rush to agree with her, to be liked. They make her feel safe, validated, certain. But certainty does not attract. Tension does. Because when she is torn, when she feels curious, conflicted, unsure, her emotions stay open. And in that openness, your influence grows. Do not fight her beliefs. Just tap them once with calm. Then let silence do the work. She will argue with herself, and without realizing it, you have entered her mind. Not as a threat, but as a mystery. That is Machiavellian seduction. Not dominance, not drama. Surgical precision. Power that does not feel like power, because it feels like curiosity. And curiosity, that is the hook that keeps her circling you, even when you say nothing at all. Reward in fragments, withdraw all at once. Machiavelli once said, "Injuries must be inflicted all at once, but benefits should be given little by little." This is not just political strategy, it is emotional control, and it works in modern relationships better than most realize. Here is the truth. When someone crosses your boundary, you do not react emotionally. You do not argue. You do not explain. You act. One clean, cold move. Silence, distance, withdrawal. No shouting, no teaching, no guilt-tripping, just the sudden loss of your presence. And that absence, it stings. Why? Because there is nothing to push against. She is left alone with her own thoughts and her own guilt. Her brain starts spinning. What did I do wrong? Why did he stop talking? Is he gone for good? And that silence becomes a mirror. Now on the other side comes the reward, but not all at once. When she is loyal, when she is warm, when she shows respect, you give her something small, rare, earned. A look, a subtle smile, a compliment that feels real. Then nothing. You do not shower her with love. You do not make her feel she has you. You train her nervous system just like a casino. She does not know when the next reward is coming, so she keeps playing. This is what makes it addictive, not the size of the reward, but the timing. Too many men reverse the formula. They punish too often. They reward too quickly. They become emotional, unstable, predictable. But you punish once. No warning, no drama, just a line crossed and silence. And when she is in your frame again, you reward her slowly, with just enough to keep her hungry. This is not cruelty. This is discipline. It is Machiavellian psychology, wrapped in calm control, because pain given fast is remembered, and pleasure given slow is craved. Now you are not just a man. You are a system she cannot stop running. Observe her closely, then deliver one line. Most men look at a woman's body. A Machiavellian man watches her behavior. He is not distracted by beauty. He does not stare with lust. He observes with silence and precision. He notices how she speaks when she is with a man she respects versus when she is with someone she controls. He tracks the subtle shifts, how her voice softens, how her gaze flickers, how her posture changes depending on who is watching. He pays attention to when she is performing and when she drops the act. No questions, no compliments, just presence. Because while other men try to enter her body, he has already entered her psychology. And then when the moment opens, not before, not after, he drops one line, calm, precise, without emotion. You speak differently when he is around. Or you laugh, but it does not feel real. No judgment, no tone, no smile. Then silence. And in that moment, her reality shifts, because that was not flattery. That was not something she could laugh off. That was truth she was not ready to hear from a man who did not ask for her approval. And the female mind, it does not forget moments like that. It replays them. Wait, how did he know that? What else is he seeing? Was I that obvious? Has he been watching this whole time? Now she does not feel admired. She feels exposed. And not by force, not by pressure, by presence. You did not demand attention. You did not fight for control. You simply watched what everyone else missed and said what no one else dared to. That is psychological dominance. It is not loud. It is not aggressive. It is quiet power that leaves echoes in her mind long after you have walked away. Because when you say the one thing that touches a part of her no one ever noticed, you leave a mark. She will forget compliments. She will forget flings. But she will not forget the man who saw her mask and named it. Not to hurt her, but to remind her, you are not like the others. You do not want her image. You see the system behind it, and once she feels that, you live in her thoughts. Even when you vanish from her sight. Command through absence. If you are always available, always responding, always present, you become predictable. And predictable is forgettable. But when you disappear without warning, without drama, without explanation, you become unforgettable. Not because you punished her, not because you ignored her, but because you created a void. And the female mind, it cannot resist a void. It has to fill it. It has to understand what went missing and why. When you go silent, her mind begins to speak louder than ever. She replays your last conversation. She rewinds every glance, every pause, every word you did not say. She searches for clues that are not there. Did I do something wrong? Why has he not reached out? Was he just pretending to care? Now she is no longer enjoying your attention. She is haunted by your absence. And that is the key. Because where most men over-explain, overgive, overstay, you vanish. without a goodbye, without a fight. Not to create pain, but to create space. And in that space, she starts imagining you. She starts remembering you not as you were, but as something larger, colder, more powerful. Now you are no longer a man. You are an unresolved question, a ghost of unfinished meaning. This is not cruelty. It is psychological contrast. You give warmth, then take it away. You show presence, then retreat into shadow. And that shift, that emotional whiplash, it hits deeper than any compliment ever could. But listen closely. You do not disappear out of anger. You do not use it as a trick. You use it when your value is being taken for granted. Because timing matters. Absence only works when presence had power. And when you return, calm, unfazed, unmoved, she will not greet you with anger. She will greet you with curiosity and fear, because she knows you can walk away at any time and not flinch. That is not manipulation. That is gravity. And gravity does not pursue. It pulls. So disappear just long enough for her to wonder if she ever really had you at all. Become her transformation point. If you want to live in her mind forever, do not just be a man she liked. Be the moment her world changed. Not the boyfriend, not the fling. Be the shift in her story. The truth is, women do not remember all the men they date, but they never forget the man who triggered something deep inside them, something emotional, something they did not even know was waiting to be seen. This is not about gifts, looks, or charm. It is about impact. Say what others are too afraid to say. Look her in the eye and name what she hides. Not to shame her, but to show her you see her. Not just her surface, not her beauty, but her truth. And when you do that without seeking praise, without trying to impress, you do not just enter her life. You restructure it. Freud once said, emotional memory shapes desire. People crave what marks them emotionally. And Machiavelli, he understood that the man who controls the story controls the mind. So control it not by forcing it, but by becoming the chapter she cannot rewrite. Maybe you were the first man who did not pursue her. The first one who set a standard and actually walked away when it was crossed. Maybe you challenged her beliefs, made her pause, made her question who she thought she was. And then you left. Not bitter, not begging, just gone. But not really, because in her mind, you stayed. You became the man tied to her transformation. And that kind of presence, it does not fade with time. She might move on. She might laugh. She might even forget your name out loud. But she will never forget the version of herself that was born after you. Because in her secret world, behind every smile, there is a memory that whispers, "He changed me." And once you become the transformation point in a woman's story, you no longer have to fight for space in her heart. Final words. Command begins here. Let us be clear. These are not just lines. They are not tricks. They are not pickup tactics. They are psychological structures built to press deep, hidden switches in the female mind, switches that shift her from logic to fixation, from control to craving. Most men try to get her attention. They joke, they pursue, they perform. But what you are building here is presence, the kind of presence that does not make her laugh. It makes her pause, think, feel, even when she does not want to. You are not here to entertain her. You are not here to prove anything. You are not her fan, her follower, or her therapist. You are the man who shifts her center of gravity, not by shouting, not by pleasing, but by saying the one thing that cuts through her defenses and leaving it there. You create silence. You create mystery. You create space in her mind that she cannot fill with anyone else. This is not softness. This is precision, and most men will never understand it because they are too addicted to approval to see the structure behind emotion. But if something inside you shifted while watching this, if a deeper instinct in you woke up, then this is not just a video. This is a signal that you are done playing the game like everyone else, that you are done begging for love, affection, or attention, that you are ready to build gravity instead of chasing validation. So here is what I want from you. If this message hits something real in you, comment the word command below. One word, no explanation. It tells me you are not here for entertainment. You are here to take the wheel. And if you are ready to learn how deep this goes, if you want to master attraction, power, and emotional dominance in silence, subscribe now, because what is coming next will not just show you how to win her. It will show you how to become the kind of man who does not need to.